And we are back. And we are back. So those are my comments and my take on this relationship type of situation that's going on with women, especially with older women, and women who may got a couple pounds on them, etc. Just encouraging you to think more of yourself. Now, let's get back to this Roe v. Wade situation. This is an extreme example of court packing. What is court packing? Court packing is when a particular elected official, whether it's a governor or a president, packs the court with people who have a political ideology that particular individual does. And that is why it was so important to Donald Trump for what their opinion was regarding abortion. What do you think about abortion? And he chose individuals who had very conservative ideals about what abortion is it good or bad, when conception starts, etc. And those were the individuals that he considered to be on the Supreme Court. Now, what does this basically mean? Well, many years ago, I think that you all remember when you had Miranda rights. You had the right to remain silent, not to have your silence used against you. Anything that you say can and will be used in court. Those are Miranda rights. Many years ago, it was of the thought that if you fail to give a person Miranda rights, then whatever they said would be thrown out. Then you had a very liberal court. What happens? Well, as time goes on, they start court packing with very conservative minded judges or justices. And so what they said with the Miranda was this. Well, Miranda is a prophylactic rule. Prophylactic in like condom. It protects the right, but it's not a violation of the right. So the fact that you may say you got the right to remain silent and don't say nothing, and you could be used against you, and you don't verbatimly say it, there's no violation if a person makes a statement that are deemed to be trustworthy. And then they went through a criterion or whatever that. Why? Because they did not want Miranda, the justices, to be a safeguard for individuals or protection when they were charged with a crime and then they had made a statement. So what they'll do is they will pigeonhole and get around that right by saying, well, this particular holding is not a protected constitutional right. It just protects a constitutional right. When they start talking about abortion, what they want to talk about basically is we want to get away from the concept of liberty, that being a right that is protected. No. Abortion by itself at common law was a criminal act. And so as a result, the states were able to deal with it in the fashion that they thought fit. So why not just give it back to the states and let the states decide? What is the danger of that? Well, we all know that. And the danger is this: young women who are not educated, who may engage in sexual activity without protection, will end up getting pregnant. And because of different state legislations, may not be able to go and get this type of service because of the restrictions that have been placed on it by the state. Young people are in denial. They may miss, their period, and they're afraid to tell mom or dad, so they don't tell nobody. And then before you know it, they 4 or 5. Because as we talked about with older women, they want to be loved. They want that child, even if they didn't want to create a child. But that's between me and my boy, and we're going to be in love, and we're going to raise this baby, and everything is going to be hunky-dory. And so they're ashamed. They want a baby. They don't know what to do. They may not be able to pay for this. And then as a result, they showing, and then there has to be a decision made. And inevitably, they may want to keep the child, but if they do elect that they want to terminate because they're not in a position or they broke up with the boyfriend, then the law imposes some type of criteria as to if and when they're eligible even to have this. Right now, we're looking at Mississippi say 15 weeks. After 15 weeks, you cannot have it. So what happens is that they have the babies. Now, obviously, I am a person, obviously, listen, I was young too. And we want to believe that we should be more responsible. And I could clearly believe it. But things do happen, especially with younger women. When I'm talking young girls, and I'm talking about them maybe between the ages of 13 and 17, okay? And they may make a decision that, I can't do this, or, they can't be responsible enough. One of the things that concerns me with the pro-life is make a alternative that is attractive. Say, if you have this baby, we'll take your baby and we'll place it in a good home. If you want to have your child, we will be able to put you in independent living where you can have an apartment and try to raise your child and get the social skills and educational skills you need to properly navigate so that, you can keep moving. That's not done. That's not done. And that is what bothers me. See, if you are going to tell a woman or female that there's certain things that she cannot do with her body, and you impose legislation, okay, have an alternative. Have an alternative. Have a plan B, so to speak. That is a real option. But we're not having that conversation. Right now, if a young woman were to have a child at the age of 15 and she abandons it, she can be charged. What about if she's not getting proper health care for that child? Because she just said, I don't know what I'm going to do. How I'm going to tell my mom? Oh my goodness, I just don't know. You know what I'm saying? She out, still smoking weed, hanging with a friend, because she just don't know what to do. What's the alternative? What about if she lives in a home where, they can't feed another a mouth, and or they have religious beliefs against that? Are there some type of housing that pro-life will have that say, listen, you chose to keep your baby, and as a result, we're going to give you a 1-bedroom apartment or 2-bedroom apartment. We're going to give you tutoring. We're going to get you the funds necessary to be able to help you with this child. We're going to be able to support you. We even have daycare that will be provided for someone to watch your child. We're not having these kind of conversations. And as a result, what I believe, unfortunately, is going to occur is that you're going to have more children who are going to have other babies, who are not going to properly take care of them, who are going to be charged with crimes, who are going to be anxious and angry with them, and potentially could hurt them or abuse. And you're going to see an influx of criminal activity as a result of not having an opportunity to take or have an option of being able to say, I can't take care of this child. We see every day people abusing children. Well, how do they end up doing that? Because the options that they have are very limited. And these are people who obviously are very sick-minded people. But at the same time, you cannot impose having a child. I know for me and for y'all too, having a kid, that's a lot. Having a child, just being a grown woman, is a lot. Imagine having a child when you're 14 years old, 15 years old. You can't even properly take care of yourself. Now, everything that you get, you got to split it with a kid. So when you can't get designer jeans, and sometimes these children say, forget it, I don't want to do this no more. It's too hard. It is a real responsibility. Ladies, you know it is. That's a real responsibility. Oh, girl, I can't go out tonight. Why? Because I had to watch my baby. That's not a conversation that you should be having when you're 13 or 14 or 15 years old, because inevitably those children will try, but they're going to abandon those children. And they say, look, I can't do this. And or put them in harm's way that they could potentially be harmed themselves. Okay. You know, and then what do we have? We're going to have a rise in abuse and neglect cases in the family court. And we're going to have a rise in criminal cases among many of these young mothers that just are at their wits' end. They're fed up. So how are we winning? We'll be back.